Good evening, members, officers, possibly members of the public if you're joining us on the webcast. I'd like to welcome you all to the Cobtree Manor Estate Charity Committee meeting this evening, Wednesday 24th of January 2024, being held here in the Town Hall in Maidstone. Moving straight to business, apologies for absence, there are none. There are no urgent items. I don't see any visiting members, so I think we can assume there are no visiting members. And at item 4, I'd like to ask members and officers if there are any matters for disclosure. No indications, therefore none recorded. And a similar question at 5 with regard to lobbying. Has anybody got any lobbying they want to declare? Shakings of head, none noted. At 6, consider any items should be taken in private. We've got no yellow pages in front of us, so I propose that we're all in open session. Is that agreed, members? And can I move us, please, to the minutes of the meeting held 22nd of November last year, 2023, circulated with the pages. Trust you've all had time to peruse and consider. Are there any matters of accuracy to be raised? No. Therefore, I move that they can be signed as an accurate record. Is that agreed? Yep, excellent. I shall do that. We have no petitions this evening, nor do we have any questions from members of the public or from members. So we can move immediately to our two substantive items of consideration this evening. The first being agenda item 11 is the Cobtree Manor Estate Annual Accounts 22-23. May I just ask the officer to give a few words, or Mr. Evans if he feels inclined to add anything?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so this report seeks the approval of the 22-23 accounts from the committee. The accounts are shown at Appendix 1, along with the letter of representation and the audit findings report. The audit was undertaken by UHY Hacker Young and is now substantially complete, and they have indicated that they will be issuing an unmodified audit opinion. At paragraph 3.3, I've referenced an outstanding issue regarding the valuation of Garden Cottage. But I can confirm that following a review by the valuer, there have been no further changes to the figures in the accounts as they are presented in the report. There were a number of amendments made to the draft accounts, and these are shown in both the audit findings report and the letter of representation. None of these will have an impact on the financial resources available to the trust. As you will see, the accounts at Appendix 1 are quite a lengthy document, so I'll just highlight a few key points for you. The total funds of the trust, as shown on the balance sheet, have reduced by 310,000 from 4.58 million to 4.27 million. The majority of this reduction reflects a reduction in asset values. The golf course was revalued downwards to reflect the reduced level of rent due under the terms of the new contract. And Garden Cottage value was reduced partly to reflect the fact it's now being let to MPH. And there's also some structural issues that are identified as part of the sort of further review that was done. And details of these have been passed on to the property team to consider. The value of the investment in Charity Fund also fell by 54,000 compared to the value as at 31st of March 22. There were two adjustments that were made following the audit. Firstly, an invoice to the value of just under £13,000 was written off as it had been established this was a duplicate of an invoice that had previously been issued. And secondly, there was an irrecoverable VAT balance of just over £18,000 that's been written off. This is due to the way that VAT is accounted for in relation to the activities on the estate, which means that not all the VAT can be recovered. Moving on to Appendix 2, this is the letter of representation. This asks the committee to confirm a number of statements relating to the audit and the information that was supplied to the auditors during the course of the audit. Appendix 3 is the audit findings report. The purpose of this document is to bring to the attention of the committee various matters that have arisen from the audit. It also covers significant audit risks and other areas of focus and sets out some details regarding accounting practices and financial reporting issues. as well as summarising the accounting adjustments that were agreed following the audit of the accounts, which I referenced earlier in the section on the accounts. There are no new recommendations for processes and internal controls, and the report confirms that the recommendation relating to the issues identified during the 21-22 accounts closed down have now been resolved. And the final section just covers developments in the charity accounting sector. So that concludes my summary. The report asks that the accounts and letter of representation are approved and that the contents of the audit findings report be noted. And I'm happy to take any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you for that summary. Councillor Mrs. Parfitt-Reid, you indicated.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to, if we could just go to page 14, Cobtree Golf Course. Obviously, was a dramatic drop in the number of rounds played, which it says about the bad weather, but it seemed like the bad weather exacerbated what was already not you know what I'm trying to say. The drop was already happening, and then we've got a new operator, and it just says that they will bring certainty and sustainability to operations, and I just wondered if we'd sort of explored with them what they are going to do to increase those numbers.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Parfitt-Reid. Yes, that was a key part of our tender exercise with the golf course operator that was conducted summer 2023. So we asked all those questions of all the applicants to understand how they were going to do that. They've got the operator that's there now has a strong marketing team behind them. Their track record at other golf courses demonstrates that turnaround. And pleasingly, they've submitting their planning application for clubhouse renovations. So that's available on the portal to see now. So kind of bringing those kind of tangible improvements that you can see at the venue just attracts more people. And then their team of staff on the golf course and the practices they use increases that playability and that kind of core product that golfers come for. So they kind of guarantee good conditions on the course when they get there. So those two things combined really will keep people coming back.
You're confident that those numbers will start to come up to, you know, sort of 40,000 or whatever it is. Yeah. Thank you.
I think that's good to seek that confidence, reassurance. It ties in with, I think, our previous deliberations of appointing the new contractor. So looking forward to a solid future. Don't think there's any other comments at the moment, so perhaps I could take us to the recommendations, page 4. I think we could take these together, but if from the chair I can move that the report financial statements 22-23 are approved and submitted to the Charity Commission, that the letter of representation be approved, which is in the file, in the papers there, that the contents of the audit findings report be noted. I move that from the chair. A seconder, please. I think Councillor Cooper was quick there. Is that agreed, members? Yeah, okay, right, that's unanimous, therefore that item of business expediently dealt with. And then in a similar vein, perhaps again could turn to you and just ask you for a quick run through on the current financial position report to be found at page 60.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So this report updates the committee on the current financial position for the estate and seeks approval for the proposed budgets for 24-25. I'll deal with each area in turn, starting with the financial position as at 31st of December 2023. So the detailed figures are shown at Appendix 1, and the current position shows a surplus of just over £23,000, so we're on target to achieve the budgeted surplus for year end. No significant issues to report, but just a few points I'd like to bring to your attention. So we made a few adjustments to the budgets within the various operational areas, but we retained the budgeted surplus of 5,740 as the bottom line. There was spend of just under £15,000 on consultancy works relating to the procurement of the new golf course contract. Obviously that's now in operation and the income figures reflect that. gas and electricity cost at the cafe will be largely recharged to the contractor. And once this exercise is complete, this will largely eliminate the overspend shown against those two heads. The estate will retain the charges for the toilets and staff areas at the building. Toilet cleaning standards are currently under review, and when they're at an acceptable level, we'll raise invoices, and again, that'll eliminate the overspend on that area. Visitor numbers were lower in 2023 compared to 2022, and this is reflected in a reduced level of car park income, and we've reduced the budget slightly to reflect that, as it was originally set in the pandemic when visitor numbers were higher. That concludes my summary of the financial position. Happy to take any questions on that section before moving on to the budgets.
Members, anything at this stage? Straight into budgets then, please.
Thank you. Okay, so the proposed budgets are shown at Appendix 2. The general approach we adopted was as follows. We increased running costs by 5% for inflation. Contract income reflects the agreed sort of schedules we have with the operators. Insurance costs were updated in line with the estimated premiums for 24-25, and the recharges for services provided by the council have been updated, and those are shown at Appendix 3. For 24-25, we're projecting a small deficit of just under 7,000 compared to the surplus of just under 6,000 that's forecast this year. This is in line with previous cash flow forecast, and it reflects the reduction in golf course income for the first full year of operation with the new contractor. But now the new contracts are in place for the golf course and the cafe, we'll bring an updated cash flow forecast to the next meeting of the committee, so you can see the overall picture. We removed a number of budgets that were no longer required, and this has partially offset that reduction in golf course income. So that concludes my summary on the budget, and again, happy to take any questions on that section.
I think it's a comment rather than anything else, but page 70, I can't help but feel that democratic services are a little undervalued in that cross-charging schedule. You know, and I say that in all jest as to whether whatever that figure is, £32 an hour is a genuine, fully costed rate. Do we accept that as a fully costed rate, or are we undercharging?
I think it's just got an average across the team, I think, rather than one specific individual, but I'm happy to double check that for you. So.
Yeah, but my point being, you know, there's an overhead that ought to apply per desk, and I just think that maybe is a little bit light. Yeah, and I think there's some similar thought processes to some of the others there. So what I'm asking is perhaps that could have a little bit of scrutiny, see whether we are actually charging sufficiently. No other queries, so I'm not going to a muddle here on page 60. Two recommendations there. So we're asked to note the current financial position, and I think that's comprehensively set out. So is that noted? And then the proposed budgets for 24-25 to be agreed, and I don't know whether I need to put that little caveat subject to a review of cross-charging. So perhaps if I can amend that so that they are agreed, subject to a review of the cross-charging. And I move that from the chair, and I look for a seconder. Councillor Cooper was very quick again. If everybody's content, I take that to the vote. Is that agreed? Agreed, unanimous. I think that deals with that item, and indeed, he says, turning the page to make sure he's not missed anything, concludes our business for Cobtree this evening. I thank you all for your contributions and your time, and declare the meeting closed.